Hi, it's Pastor Andy, and another daily video for us, a signpost, as we said. And today I want to talk about you. I want to talk about you in the singular. I want to talk about us and the you in the collective. I want to talk about me as a part of the we. Um, you matter. You are important. And, this isn't some self help, feel good talk or whatever. I'll get to more of that in just a moment. But in the midst of this challenge that we are dealing with at this time, it's important to for us all to know that we do indeed matter. I read a lot, and I don't really have more time to read right now. I'm finding a little bit of extra time to read right now, but I have a very regimented reading schedule that I set prior to each quarter, and then over the quarter, I read a lot. One of the books that I'm reading this this quarter is called Die Empty, and this doesn't mean that I'm looking forward to dying or preparing to die in that regard. But when I do die, I want to be spent. I don't want any part of Andy Braams left that would have benefited my family, would have benefited my friends, the church, the world. I want to be spent. And so whether I die tomorrow, whether I die 50 years from now, this is just one of those books. And I want to read this book was written 5 years ago. And I want to read what the author said real quick, and then I want to talk about it for just a moment. This was in the first chapter. I read this a couple weeks ago, but this just 5 years ago, when the economy was doing okay. We know that it's been doing very well over the last several years. But listen to these words. Just having a job is, in many cases, a luxury in today's economic climate. How much more true is that in COVID-19? The nature of the work and the degree to which it fulfills a desire to engage in something meaningful is of secondary concern for many, and understandably so. You might be asking yourself, isn't it selfish to think about things like personal fulfillment and being in your sweet spot when there are so many people scrambling just to find employment? Now, again, that was true 5 years ago. It's certainly true, and perhaps even more so today. But I've talked about last month, I talked about our church resetting and the opportunity for organizations to reset. But people, we have an opportunity to reset. And so many are finding this. People are finding what is really prioritized in their life, and how they have misprioritized things in their life, that they're finding more time and they're enjoying certain things. Now, I know that's not true of everybody. But the next paragraph, let me finish that. Let me say that sentence again, and then let me read the next part of the next paragraph, and then I'll stop. Again, he said, isn't it selfish to think about things like personal fulfillment and being in your sweet spot when there are so many people scrambling just to find employment? Absolutely not. The great problems we see in the world today will not be solved by people functioning at half capacity, cranking out work they don't care about in order to buy more things that will eventually rust or rot. These problems will be solved by people who have tapped into their deeper aptitudes and who are pouring themselves fully into work that's meaningful to them and valuable to others. And frankly, I don't know if Todd Henry is Christian or not. It doesn't really matter. I believe that all truth is God's truth, and those are true words. And so whether Todd Henry has a Christian faith, and therefore that's what led him to write this, or it's just his intuition, his I'm made in God's image, and therefore he wrote it. That could be the case as well. And so, how does that apply to us, and the fact that you indeed matter and that I matter? Well, first off, we have to believe that. We have to understand that we do matter, that we are important, that God made you, God made mankind in his image, and God doesn't just create molecules and form them together for no purpose at all. There is a purpose, there is a reason that you are here, whether you are very young, whether you are very old, whether you are in perfect health, whether you are not in good health, whether you are employed, whether you're not employed. But this is an opportunity for all of us to really think about what does matter, who does matter, and the who is all of us. But what do we do with that? And so again, you might say, well, this is great. Todd Henry wrote this book called Die Empty, and so how does that apply? Is that really a biblical principle? Yes. Several of you will be familiar with the great statement about how grace and faith interweave into our lives in order to bring about salvation. That's found in Ephesians 2:8 and 9. For it is by grace you have been saved through faith, and this not of yourself. And the next part of that is so crucial, so that none of us can boast. It is not by the works that we do in order that we boast. There is nothing that you do, there is nothing that I do that can allow us to earn salvation. But the next verse is critical, because it says, "For we were created by God." We are God's workmanship. God created us to do good works that he prepared in advance for us to do. And so as we go about our days and we say, "Well, I hate my job and I hate doing this, I hate doing that," there are some things that all of us have to do that we're not fond of doing. That's a discussion for another day, but there are things that we must do just because they have to be done. But God made you for a reason. That's what Todd Henry is saying in this book, Die Empty. Find that reason. Again, whether you're 2 years old, you don't understand what I'm saying. Whether you're 20 years old, you think, well, I'm just getting started. Maybe you're 18, you're like, my graduation was just stripped from me. I understand. I can't fully empathize with you as much as I would like to, because I don't have a true appreciation. I never went through that, but I remember what it was like to graduate from high school. So I do understand that. But maybe you're 40, maybe you're 45, you're in the middle of maybe a midlife crisis. Maybe you're 60 or 65 or 70 and you're thinking about retiring. Maybe you're 90 and you say, my life is behind me. No, if you're still here, I don't know what it is. And I don't exactly know how God pieces all this together. And I'm asked that question a lot of times, quite frankly. Why am I still here? Why am I still here? Somebody who is sick and is very ill perhaps and is dying. I don't know what that answer is for you. I still have to figure out all these answers for me, right? But God put you here for a reason. You matter. And so if you matter and God put you here for a reason, doesn't it make sense for us to try to find that reason and to own it? And yes, right now, that first paragraph I read, it is so difficult for many to find a job. 22 million new unemployment claims just in the last 3.5, 4 weeks now. That doesn't count whatever's going to happen this week. But as those people look for jobs, what if we all found jobs that were meaningful to us? What if we all found jobs that were that fit into who we really are and what we want to become? And that may not be possible all the time. We have to pay bills, right? And there's some things, a musician says, I just want to play music. The bills have to be paid. An artist says, I just want to make art. I want to draw. I want to paint. I want to do these kinds, but bills have to be paid. But so many times what we do is this is what we want to do. But because what we have to do, we abandon our dreams. We abandon our thoughts. We abandon our purpose even. And so as we think about resetting in an overall perspective, why not take this time to think about what does matter? Because here is essentially what Todd Henry was saying. Here's essentially what God was saying through the Apostle Paul in Ephesians 2. You matter, and you are a part, if not the solution, for some of the problems in today's world. I am too. We are together. But that's how much you matter. Maybe there is a problem that you don't even know about right now, but over the internet or through a video or, maybe just a discussion that you have, and maybe this happens after we're starting to gather again together, whatever that might be. You hear about something, you say, you know what, I care about that. Because here's what I do know. Every problem that has ever been solved required somebody looking for a solution. And there are so many problems in our world today that are requiring a solution. And that's not to say that the first attempt for a solution is the right attempt, or that the second attempt or the fifth attempt is the right solution. What was it that was said about making the light bulb? Well, I found 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb, but it only took one to make a light bulb. So the idea for us is that you matter, and that God prepared you to do good works in advance, knowing that there was a purpose for you, knowing that he had a purpose for you. As Todd Henry said in that book, that what if we took this time to figure out what was really meaningful to us and we followed that path? How much better would our lives be? How much better would we feel about ourselves? How much more of a difference could we make in our lives, in our families, in our communities, and in our world? So you matter. That's the message today. You matter. You may have to find out what that mattering is. You may have to find out how that mattering fits. But before you go to bed tonight, just take a couple minutes to think about it. Write something down. Even if that dream was forgotten 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 70 years ago, or 5 minutes ago, this is what I wanted to do. Why am I not doing that? And you might not be able to do it the same way now, but could you find a different way to do it, or help somebody else to do it, or help others to discover how that could happen? Because again, there has never been a solution that has been solved. There's never been a problem that has been solved. Sorry, there's never been a problem that has found a solution unless somebody was actively doing it. What problem in this world might you help to fix, or might you fix by yourself? You matter. So take time to figure that out today.